everyone. Welcome back to Glitter Budget with your hosts, Ann Jeanette.
And Jess.
And in this week's episode, we're talking about Mortal Kombat! Wow, the sound waves on that one. If you're listening and not watching, I apologize.
Sorry.
Oh, God. But yeah, so Mortal Kombat, at least for Jess and I, is just, we love that movie.
Oh my God.
Steve, not so much, but we love it.
Whatever. He's wrong.
Anyways, he's entitled to his wrong opinion, Steven.
I loved that movie so much growing up. Played the game a few times. I was absolutely awful at it. Still am. So there's a local bar up in Scranton called Bartari, and they have the Mortal Kombat game.
They do.
Yes. They have Mortal Kombat and I don't know if you remember the game Carnage.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have both of those. Which if I remember correctly was originally put out by Midway?
Sure. I don't know.
Midway Games, I think, back in like
Carnage or Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat. I'm sorry.
I think yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with that. Fact checked us if we're wrong. But yeah, so I was awful at it. Like I always picked either Sonya or Katana to play, and my skill set was literally just pushing the buttons as fast as I could until something happened.
Yeah.
Or the only one that I definitely knew was just uppercut the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
Continuous, like fast enough where they didn't have an option to do anything else.
You were that guy.
I was. And then occasionally, with hitting the buttons as fast as I could, you know, some special move would happen. Like I would get Katana to use her like fancy fan things and chop somebody up.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how I did it though.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know. If it involved seizing on the buttons, then that's what I did.
Yeah.
I can't even lie and say that I had a different tactic because I was pretty much me too. Because I only played the arcade version. I didn't. I think it was on Sega.
Yeah.
Sega.
I mean, I had the same skill set with Sega too. So
yeah. I mean, I played a lot of Sonic on Sega. Fucking died a lot. Lost so many rings. But Mortal Kombat was like just an awesome game to play.
Yes.
And when the movie came out, it was like, yes, and it was so good. And I was actually a huge fan of the fact that Christopher Lambert was in it.
Yes.
But obviously he's not Asian. But the cool thing about this Mortal Kombat was the fact that they actually, like for Robin Shou, he played Liu Kang. He was hesitant about being in this movie because he didn't want to be typecast as like an Asian villain, which a lot of movies at the time, especially in Hollywood, if there were any Asian actors that were cast in a movie, they were normally cast as a villain.
Right.
And this was the first time that there was an Asian hero. And it was kind of awesome for him because he got to play the hero of the movie, and there was also rare for the time for a Hollywood movie to have an Asian hero and an Asian villain.
Right.
But it's kind of cool that's, this was back in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And for a movie of that time, it was very rare to have, anyone who wasn't white.
Yeah.
In like a lead role. And that's, obviously they did that with Christopher Lambert, but they also, I think they wanted to get enough clout with that movie as well. So they brought in Christopher Lambert, who had done a bunch of blockbuster movies at the time. And he actually did a lot of that movie without getting paid to do portions of it.
Well, to travel too. I think it was in his original contract, he wouldn't go over to Thailand. Mm-hmm. And when they were trying to film it,
they were going to use stand-ins.
Yeah, and he was just like, this is stupid. He's like, I'm just going to go. And he paid for his own airfare, like the whole nine, just to travel over there. And apparently his agent and stuff was like, why are we doing contracts?
Yeah.
Why did I do this? It's fine.
What's the point?
Cool.
Yeah, great. Thanks. I'll be over here. But he actually was really helpful to the director, Paul Anderson, because Paul Anderson was, fairly new.
Even new. He would new.
Yeah, new. Like I think he had done like a very small $100,000 budget movie before this. And when he came on, like there were a lot of things he had no idea how to film. Like with fight scenes, I guess normally when you do it with fight scenes is it's close-up shots, and the only time you would do a wide shot would be like for a few seconds. So a wide shot meaning that you would see like scenery, you'd see, the entire person.
Right.
And a close-up shot is you would obviously it's a close-up shot. You would see like torso, head, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So you would like that would be mainly what it was. But at first, Paul Anderson was filming everything in wide shots, and they would have to keep doing take after take after take, and the actors were just like, Jesus fuck, like, can we stop? And then I think Robin Shu, the guy who played Liu Kang, was like, let's one note. Can we do it this way? And then once he figured out, oh, okay, it made the fight scenes, like filming the fight scenes, so much easier.
We also had like a lot of input though on the fight scenes.
Yes.
So he was kind of given not complete free reign, but a good chunk of free reign on how like they were going to be choreographed and to make sure that they looked real. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like I thought the cool thing with Paul Anderson is like he was brought in. Basically he was brought in basically to like to play this video game. This friend of ours like, oh hey, like in this arcade we got this cool like game called Mortal Kombat in, and like from what he was saying, he just ended up back in their office playing it for like 4 or 5 hours and had the idea of like, oh my god, like we should totally, this is a great storyline, we should do a movie. And at the time Mario Brothers movie had tanked, Street Fighter had tanked, so they were kind of like, this isn't going to go anywhere, and nobody believed him either. They were just like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
whatever. And then he's getting phone calls of like, hey, we should cast this person, hey, we should cast, like, let's call this person in to read. And they were like, what?
Yeah. Although I don't care how bad Super Mario Brothers is,
I
still love it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, so don't come at us like that, because I fucking love that movie. Bob Hoskins, man, John Leguizamo. We'll get to it another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were just a lot of cool, like Robin Shu he choreographed a lot of the fights, but there was a different fight choreographer that was credited. I think I was watching the credits because I was trying to figure out where I could find the Mortal Kombat theme song and like have it as like my ringtone now. And they did not have like, so I watched the entire fucking credits until the end, and Robin Shu is credited, and I didn't see another one credited, but to be fair, I wasn't looking for it. But he helped with a lot of the fights.
Yes.
Especially the fight scenes that were added in after the fact, because they had shown like a finished product to test audiences, and they were like, there's not enough fighting, which is odd because it's Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So they went in and added in these fight scenes, which was Johnny Cage fighting Scorpion and Liu Kang fighting the human form of Reptile.
Right.
Where the original fight scenes ended, like to be fair, if I were in that test audience and I saw where the original fight scenes ended, I'd be like, this is so bullshit.
Yeah.
Because
it felt so empty.
The Johnny Cage Scorpion fight was supposed to end after he shadow kicks him. He was supposed to shadow kick him into a tree instead of shadow kicking into a portal that opens.
Right.
But it was like, it would have been a fucking 30-second fight.
Right. And that was like, I mean, both of those scenes are so iconic to the film.
Yeah.
I mean, I freaking love Scorpion. Like, so
yeah,
to not see that entire fight,
like that, you can't. And Ed Boon, funny story, before I get into the rest of my story, Ed Boon was one of the co-creators of the original Mortal Kombat game, played the voice of Scorpion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So he, get over here, get down here. Like, that's Ed Boon. Anyway, back to my original thing, and the Liu Kang fighting Reptile, it was supposed to end with him throwing him into that gargoyle.
Yeah.
And it was just supposed to entomb him, and that was it. No. It's like, are you serious? Talk about, like,
a huge letdown.
Yeah, like anticlimactic. Yeah. And you wouldn't have had the fucking bicycle kick that Liu Kang had. And, like, it just... and then you wouldn't have, like, them bringing in another EDM song.
Yeah.
Reptile. Dun, 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 dun. And you're like, it gets me so hyped. So hyped. But they would have, those two, like you said, they're iconic scenes, and they were added in, like, kind of after the thought.
Yeah,
and
which that blew my mind when I read that. I was just like, really?
Yeah.
That wasn't even on your radar.
Mhm.
That was what you were going to, okay.
You were
Well,
just
but I love though, like how, like I said, he took this video game that he loved that recognized that it had a really good story, but took the making of the movie so seriously. You know, I mean, they had the callbacks and like the
auditions?
readings, yeah, the auditions, but the
Script readings?
yes,
Table
thank you.
read?
Yes,
Okay.
well, the script readings for the audition.
Uh-huh.
I was like, some of them had to come back 6-7 times
Yeah.
before they were casted. And I know, like,
To be fair, that happens with a lot of actors, though.
true, but I guess I guess from what they were saying, like they were like, oh, for this film, like, for what you're making, like we have to come back.
Yeah.
This meant like, come on,
They're like,
just give me the part. But the actress though who ended up playing Sonya, originally it was supposed to be Cameron Diaz, was casted, trained, broke her wrist.
that's all right, real quick. Cast. It is not a word.
It wasn't intentional.
Okay, sorry.
Whatever.
Sorry, ignore that. I love you. Bye.
Cameron Diaz was hired
There you go.
to play Sonya,
I'm sorry, I love
which trained, broke her wrist while she was training for the combat scenes, would not heal fast enough to like have everything on time. So they who did they bring in?
I believe her name is Bridget Wilson.
Yes. Brought her in, and she was one that was like, I had to read 7 times for this, but I guess it was so they weren't sure they were going to cast her. She ended up doing Billy Madison.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the last day of her filming Billy Madison where they were like, do you still want the part? She's like, yeah. And they're like, can you just fly out tomorrow then?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right,
Yeah.
sure.
But so she flew out the next day, had to train for the fight scenes in between other scenes,
and
she did all of her own stunts.
which I thought was awesome. She partially dislocated her shoulder. With it was her main fight scene, right? With
Kano?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess she said like she didn't realize how bad she had injured her shoulder, and they were like, no. Like it's jacked up. She's like, but I feel fine. Totally get right back there. Like, no. We gotta like shove it back into place. You're not okay.
Yeah, we gotta get you're looking like this right now. Like we gotta even you out the bed.
But just the fact that like they took it so seriously and who they were gonna cast. The fight scenes, like making sure that most of them were real, like the amount of people that were injured between her. Couple people had some like broken ribs. I think there was like a lacerated kidney in there somewhere.
Lyndon
it was
Ashby,
intense.
who plays Johnny Cage, he wanted a stunt double, but Robin Shue was like, "It's gonna look better if you do it." So the scene, where he is, so they added in obviously the Scorpion Johnny Cage scene, and Lyndon Ashby was wearing pads on his back to help, especially with like he's gonna get kicked in the back,
Right.
But they had the actor who played Scorpion. I forget his name. I'm sorry, but he was originally hired to be a stunt ninja, but they liked him so much they're like, let's make you the actual guy.
Right.
So he's, a stuntman. He's trained in martial arts, and he fucking kicks Lyndon Ashby in the back, and it gets in between the pads to the point where he gets a bruised kidney, and he was pissing blood.
Oh God.
So yeah. So you can thank Robin Shue for that. But he so I think there were some times when they did switch him out with a stunt double, but for the most part it was a lot of the actors doing their own stunts, and they actually had Francois Petit. He was like the highest ranking martial artist on set, and I think he did a lot of behind the camera work.
Yeah.
But he played Sub-Zero because they didn't have anyone else to play Sub-Zero. And that's why his scenes are so short.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, because he had to do a lot of camera stuff, but he was badass. Like all the flippy shit that he did down that ramp.
Yeah.
Robin Shue couldn't recreate. So he's like, because he was supposed to do it. He was supposed to do the same thing that Sub-Zero did, like flipping down that little ramp.
Yeah.
but he couldn't do it, so he just ran down like screaming like a maniac. And they're like, well, we're just gonna use that.
Match the energy. That's just at this point.
Yeah, but that's why, because he had this fucking, you know, this guy who'd been training at this point, because I think they said that he was born in 51. This is a movie that was made in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So the guy was in his 40s at this point.
He really trained his whole life.
He started at the age of 3.
Yeah.
So this guy was a super badass. He has multiple black belts, and they're all like nth degree in each black belt. So it's like this guy's,
He's a real deal.
yeah,
He's serious.
And I mean, he was doing these fucking flips and shit, and you know they tried. But
Would have been looking at it, be like, you want me to do what now?
yeah,
Okay.
Even though like Rob Chu was a trained martial artist
Yeah.
as well, he was just like, oh man,
I can't even do that. That's past my limit, man.
mm-mm. He was also very young at the time too.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I loved how so they did like some of the filming in Air Hangar in LA. So again, like just very serious about the whole thing, you know, cast it very specifically, had an idea of how they wanted to shoot it, how they want it to look. And which is all just very intense about making this movie. And I think everyone else who was like on board with it was kind of like, I mean, if you want to go this hard in it, sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess like the hangar bay that they were filming in was a couple hangar bays down from the one that Tom Cruise had owned at the time. So he was like doing his business. I was like, oh, what you guys filming? And they were like, no.
Yeah.
Like, but I just want to no. But go away. And just like kick Tom Cruise off set, who at that time was like in his prime.
Yes.
And they were just like, no.
But it was funny that the guy that kept kicking him out he was a medic on set, and they were like, yeah, you can be a security guard, and he took his role very seriously. He's like, I don't care who you say you are, you're not getting in here. But they I think he was also considered for Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
But they originally it's reported that the role of Johnny Cage was kind of modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme. But Jean-Claude Van Damme turned down the role to do Street Fighter.
Oh. It's a poor choice, sir.
Yeah. 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 What could have been. But that's kind of cool though. I think it's funny.
That is funny, but you know what though? I think he would have been a poor choice, honestly. Like,
yeah.
No, I wouldn't have. That would just been. I'm sorry, he's a bad actor.
Yeah.
So I would have been
disagree.
really crappy.
Yeah.
Like, they filmed that, and then he was scouting locations. So Thailand was where they filmed the majority of the movie. But he was so picky when how he wanted it to look that they ended up filming on like one of the islands, which was an island. Like it wasn't like an island of like, hey, let's go vacation here island. It was an island of like, hey, there's no plumbing or electric.
Yeah.
So they had to like build the set there the best that they could, but then all of the gear and shit had to like be put on a boat back to the mainland and then brought back the next day for filming.
Yeah.
And they basically had like outhouses for the bathroom. He's like, someone had to like do their business. You can't hop on a boat.
Yeah.
And go back to the mainland and come back.
Yeah. I thought that that's really cool though. And they actually use a lot of people from Thailand as part of the crew.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Like they actually gave them like a job opportunity. Hopefully they paid them well.
I would hope so.
We don't know, but
I don't know because they spent $1 million on Goro.
I
read that. I had to read that 5 times. I was just staring at it like, really?
Which was an animatronic that was manned by 13 to 16 people.
Just insane.
And they couldn't bring him to Thailand, so they did all of his scenes in like on a sound stage in LA, and they had to like put in all like the ponds and shit and blah 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 blah. But then they also had to like take them away so that he didn't fall and then like short circuit.
You'll start saying like he malfunctioned more than he actually worked, which delayed filming so long. They were just like it was a running joke. So like, just Goro won't come out of his fucking trailer today. He's being a prima donna. Like,
Oh, but that's so cool though. Like just the fact that movies back then they had to be so creative with
Mhm.
their with what they had to do to come up with all these awesome things and like now everything's just CGI and special
Yeah.
effects and all that kind of
I
shit,
think
but
they put
like
some CG over him, right? To like sync up the lips, I think.
it didn't work
No.
because
They tried.
like I was watching it and the scene between him and Johnny Cage, which was a flawless victory,
Yes.
um, didn't didn't match up. Like the lips were still, you know, a little off, a little off. But
Yeah.
that's a good scene.
Yeah. I remember as a kid watching that though and was like, ain't nobody gonna be able to beat him. Mm-mm. Like, this is
Mm-mm.
scary. And then when they had Johnny Cage fight him, I was like, he gonna die?
Yeah, I'm like, oh
I
no.
was like, they chose him? Oh.
But I didn't realize that some of the fight scenes were so short. And okay, real quick about so this movie is rated PG-13
Hmm.
and
They had to fight for that too.
they wanted to make it as close to the video game as possible with like all the violence and the language and all the gore and everything like that. But um they came back and they're like, "No, we got to make it PG-13 so it's aimed for our target audience, which would be teenagers,
Right.
pretty much." Which is I understand, but they had to keep going back and be like, "Are we? Can we do that? Can we do this? How about this? How about this?" Blah, 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 blah. And essentially, what they had to like make it so that they couldn't show any human deaths.
Right. And then I know they had an issue too with just in general, like how much blood and gore they could show.
Yes.
So like I know like when Sub-Zero died, they had to get creative where, if he fell in like the ice, he basically just turned ice.
Yeah.
So there was no actual like blood to be
Blood.
shown,
Mhm.
which was a really creative way to get past that.
Mhm.
But I mean, I know New Line didn't really want to do this film anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't very helpful either.
Yeah. They did not have an easy time doing that. But the thing that I find the funniest is that the rating for the movie is non-stop martial arts action and some violence. It's non-stop. It's just gratuitous martial arts action. Like I laughed out loud when I read non-stop martial arts
It's
action.
very specific.
Yeah, non-stop. They won't stop. They can't stop, won't stop. Because it's non-stop.
But I love too how most of the scenes, a good chunk of them between Johnny Cage and Raiden and a couple others, they were ad libbed. A good chunk of it.
Yeah, because the script was not finished being written during pre-production, which is when they've already cast everything and cast everyone, all that kind of stuff, and so they let the actors kind of have free reign with some of this stuff. And Christopher Lambert and Lyndon Ashby they just ran with it.
Yeah, but I think that's why they were saying that like Raiden had a little bit more of a comedic edge to him. Just
Yes.
because of that, but they were like, it was just so good. Like you couldn't. They were like, we couldn't cut it out. But as I think the line of where he's like, "Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole,"
Yeah.
ad libbed.
Yep.
Like I love that kind of stuff. But it is what made it though.
Yeah.
What made it so well. And I think it was a huge disappointment when they did Annihilation, and it was the worst piece of garbage ever.
We don't speak of that.
No, it was literally. We're not even going to do a separate episode on it. The only thing you need to know is that they had the same producer, but Paul Anderson did not come back to direct it or assist with anything.
And he regrets that to this day.
He does, which is why he stayed on for every single Resident Evil movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to watch it the other day and I turned it off halfway through. It is literally the biggest piece of trash, from the acting to the dialogue to the set. Even the set looked cheap.
They
Awful.
They only kept Robin Shu, who played Liu Kang, and oh my god, I forget the actress's name who played Katana, but they kept Liu Kang and Katana. Everyone else, different actors, and it apparently picks up right where
Literally right where the first one ends.
the first one ends. Yeah, and that's when Shao Kahn, the Emperor, like they won. They won the Mortal Kombat, so they didn't get the they didn't beat the 10 things in a row. The Emperor is essentially like he has to win 10 tournaments in a row in order to take over Earth. And he already destroyed Outer Realm, so he,
Right.
he wasted that world. He needs another one to take over. So they've been fighting in these tournaments because it's once a generation.
Yeah. So they were supposed to be safe for a generation.
Yes. So, but they defeated Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
They defeated him, so they should have been safe. And the Emperor's like, no, fuck you.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
And Raiden's like, I don't think so. And then you're like, dun, dun, dun. And it's just gets me so hyped. Ooh, about the soundtrack though.
Ah, yes.
So, the producers of the movie went to Sony Records and Virgin Records to have them produce the soundtrack. And they're like, no, you got to use people like Janet Jackson and Van Halen. So like shit, like people around, they wanted it to be like poppy rocky. And the producer was like, no. So they went to what was then unknown TVT Records, and they had them produce the soundtrack because they wanted it to be like EDM.
Right.
So it's electronic dance music, if you do not know what EDM is. And that the soundtrack went platinum in less than 2 weeks. And that is the first time that's ever been done.
Yes.
An EDM record going platinum.
Yeah. I mean, I think like literally everything with that movie far exceeded everyone's expectations between how well it did the box office, the soundtrack. I mean, like the whole nine.
Yeah.
Which kind of like they made New Line just eat that because they didn't want to do it, so it's just like
yeah,
shit. We made a lot of money. It was a huge success, and then the second one was not.
Yeah. Well, that's what we get. New Line. You should have believed in us.
Mm-hmm.
And the the fact that like they had a lot of like just unprecedented things in there before. Like I said, they had an Asian hero.
Yeah.
And Robin Shu in the fights that he got to add in, he used wire work martial arts, which was the first Hollywood movie to do that. And this is before the Matrix movies, which they kind of like popularized it.
Yeah.
But he had done that when he was doing films in Hong Kong, and so he brought this over to Mortal Kombat, and you can see it clearly in any of the fight scenes that Robin Shu choreographed specifically. So the Johnny Cage scorpion fight and the Liu Kang reptile fight, where he does his bicycle kick.
Yeah.
And because clearly couldn't do that by yourself. But whatever. But I think it's really cool that they had like all these things, and like the camera work too seemed really I don't know, different. Like they made the camera like a character.
Yeah.
So it was like the camera was the person fighting, so you would see what it was like to get kicked in the stomach.
Like a little bit like point of view action there. Yeah.
But
so good.
It was awesome. I am sad that they did not have Jade in there. She was originally supposed to be in there, but the fight scene between her and Sonya was supposed to be so quick. Like Sonya was supposed to kick her on the head and Jade would die. It's like, really? Why?
Yeah.
But that like they did have Katana, but not in her standard getup that she normally has in the game. But they still had her, so
I was actually a little bit disappointed with her, how she was portrayed in her whole role. That was kind of like maybe my biggest gripe with it.
Yeah, like she didn't even really have any fight scenes. They had the one with Liu Kang.
Yeah.
And that was more like a dance than anything.
Yeah, because it was just them, like, basically her schooling him of, like, you ain't ready.
Yeah.
Like, this is how this is going to go down. And if I can kick your ass.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even in the second one, like, they had so many opportunities with so many different characters in the second one, and it was just sad.
Yeah.
But overall, though, the first one was amazing, and definitely, I think, a huge part of our childhood memories.
Oh, yeah. And just being able to scream Mortal Kombat and just fucking dance like a fool. I still, like I said, I wanted to try and find that version that they have in the movie.
Yeah.
And then they're like listing all the characters, and you're just like, dun, 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 Johnny Cage. And
I just remember when I was in dance class at that age, I did ballet, jazz, and tap. And then there's some contemporary, like in the studio that we were at. So at least 5 people must have done either a group performance or like a solo.
Oh yeah.
To that song. I think probably people that were like looking over the judges, probably just no more. Please God, no more.
Yeah. Like there are so many, like dance, gymnastics, cheerleading, all of these different competitions where they would just come out to Mortal Kombat. And I'm sure they did it at sporting events too.
Oh yeah.
Where like they
For
would
sure.
come out onto the field, stadium, sports arena.
The
Did I get
field.
those things right?
You did? You could have just stopped at field. That's
Good
okay
try.
though. You're an overachiever.
Sometimes, yes. But yeah, so like they abuse that. There's a reason it went platinum.
So yeah. So I think if you guys haven't seen it, you should totally watch it, especially now with all of this new information that you guys have. I think hopefully a little bit more of an appreciation for the film. Because like I said, I was surprised the amount of work and effort that was put into that, and it was, I don't know, I wasn't expecting those kind of cool factoids. I was like, oh my God. Like he really put his heart and soul into like this whole film and made sure that it was done very well.
Yeah.
Which it shows.
Yeah, it does. And like if you just want to get hyped, just fucking watch it. And you know, part of it is when you watch it now, you're like, man, it's so 90s. But that is awesome.
Yeah, that's what makes it amazing. Still.
Oh. Anyway, you can find it on Netflix.
Yes.
If you do not own it on DVD or a VHS, whatever, it's probably, I don't know if it's on DVD.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Netflix, you can find it if you want to watch it for yourself, just to either watch it for the first time or watch it again because we got you guys excited.
Yes.
Anyway, wrapping up, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the things. We come out with TikTok videos for y'all about just kind of little videos about every movie that we talk about.
Yeah.
We try to recreate a scene and
Funsies.
bring some humor to y'all. And yeah, any final thoughts on Mortal Kombat?
Just enjoy the rest of your day and test your might.
Flawless victory. Your soul is mine. So hyped. Yes.
No, I don't have anything else to say.
All right. Until next time, guys. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.